Hi, I'm Daniel, and this will be a young one, so get ready for it. This is this YouTube channel Nintendo that I recommend watching, who makes these young retrospective videos and shows. I wanted to do a similar format for a while. I've had a couple shows in mind. After first watching Big Hero 6 The Series Season 3, I had opinions and wanted to share about it. If you consider just in that season, that would be ignoring the year up to see the show as a whole. With Baymax the Series, they're usually trying to replace this as Big Hero 6 TV show. But it's the 5-year anniversary in November, now it's a good time to do it. Been pondering this for a while and kept moving it down off my schedule, but I'm finally going to do it. So, I'll look through the entire franchise in the form of a retrospective. There will be slight differences when discussing each season, as they are all structured in a different way. I am doing it where I rewatch each season and then write about it. But I'm recording it when it's all done. The show has been forgotten and got tampered with, so yet see what was there. Also, there'll be spoilers, so I suggest watching seasons 1 and 2 before I get to that part of the video. First, I need to discuss the movie. Hero 6 is an amazing film that I went over in a video a year ago, almost exactly 1 year ago, which I suggest watching. Briefly reiterate some of my thoughts. On the surface, it's a very fun superhero movie. This is because the comedy works and is in place to the movie with good characters. Though I don't like Baymax being one of his good parts, they are still an amazing character. I like how Baymax was following with programming, but manages to be both funny and an emotional representation of how Tadashi lives on. Tadashi has a big impact on the franchise, and the opening introducing him for his death is bad enough. The whole opening scene with Stutti introducing their bond makes the death very emotional. The film also manages to give everyone in the extended group an individual assigned personality. I actually want more could only see them together in the movie and not standalone characters. I think the villain is overhated, but I can still see the problems. The reason I call this film a masterpiece is that all the superhero stuff is just a disguise for a complex story of grief. Hero is one of Disney's best protagonists to use arc as deeper themes. I discussed the arc as whole in my original video, just known giving this movie 10 out of 10. It isn't perfect, but does so much incredible that it's one of my favourite movies. I started it, unless you count the comics I know little about. While not as popular as Disney's works around the same time, this still has your merchandise, especially around Baymax. When the series were announced, the teaser shot showed your Baymax. This shot was just Baymax interacting with another character. Which is interesting, because in the actual show, Baymax never got in the way of other people. Which we'll see in the WM premiere. I'll discuss Baymax Returns on its own. It's a special in the UK and months before the rest of the season. People who want a Big Hero 6 sequel, this is close to it except half the end for a movie. I got this started during the movie's ending as it's Hero's first day at S-Fit. We meet Professor Granville, a new character will be important later, and she is setting boundaries for Hero. He finds Baymax chip and tries to rebuild the project as a secret. This is basically the first half, as Fred wants them all to become heroes, while the others are more reluctant to it, as they thought starring Kaya Ham was just a one-time thing. This is an interesting idea for premiere, and it makes sense they all want to become immediate heroes as they have lives, and it would be hard to juggle both. So who is this special's villain? Remember the film's opening scene where he tricks someone into bot fighting? Well, Yama is now a full villain here, I don't like that. He should have stayed as just a guy in the streets. Yama gets Baymax, and Hill has to trade for paper into Granville's desk, so Hill has to steal and then steal it back before she notices. To get it back, Yama makes use of copies of Baymax without the skin that looks weird, to get the electro amplifier. Then there's a character your superhero fighting. This especially isn't the best in the story department. It's great when it's continuing the events of the movie. The characters are done well, but the plot is weak. Good continuation, but as a special, it's decent. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. It is worth watching, but I suggest trying the first number episode more to really convince you that the show is worth something. Before I get into season 1, I'll discuss the intro. This style looks cool with the shapes and strong red colour. At first it shows some everyday activities with the characters. The only lyric is wow. Halfway through there's a fist bump, then it gets more action packed when we see them as superheroes. Music sounds like a typical superhero film, but the wow is still there as it fits the show to have an overlap between both. It's a great intro to catch you without having proper lyrics. Those outros more martial arts music, I think that's also pretty good, but it's not really worth listening to. Okay, so how's the show properly start? Season 1. To start from the beginning, they are superheroes who face problems. There's villains to fight with a couple of current faces, which makes them need to find a way to win. The episodes follow a structure of two failed battles and then they find a way to win the third act climax. Superheroes occasionally double as mystery solvers, mainly with the season's overarching main villain Obake. Superhero paths are connected by secret identities. Big Hero 6 series really points based on how they'll be superheroes, needing to leave every time there's an attack. As for college, they are doing science tech, and it's an opportunity for them to speak about things. The group are friends throughout the season. We see them all have their own stories and struggles. Don't think any are overshadowed because all of episodes where they are a main character. They interact well with there being good character pairings between them. As an introduction season, this is yet an episodic, especially in the first half of the season. As it goes along, the mystery of Baki's person is built up as we see him trying to find out their piano alongside Big Hero 6. Season ends in a big three-part finale where everything's on the line, and it's great. I'd argue aside from that episode, the rest episodes could work standalone and still be enjoyable. The comedy of this show is funny, and like the movie, it's mainly from Fred and Baymax. Probably all funny lines and a decent slapstick humour too. It knows when to match serious with the more comedic episodes. Animation inspired by often anime-like styles with the 2D being a good fit. Sides are black outlines that work with the quick action scenes. Some clips are extremely well animated. There are some problems with the designs are like they're always blushing, which doesn't work for all characters. And in some structure does look like vectors placed in the background. Not often, this show has style animation, especially compared to most movies that show art styles. The series is mostly character driven and about their adventures, so I'll talk about them in order with villains near the end. This will take up most of my discussion on season 1. I expect the Baymax to dominate over the show because they're the only remembered part. They keep their scenes to a good amount here. Those parts are great for saying facts at the wrong time socially. Most importantly, it keeps the caring side with them being there to help Hero. In superhero form, that's the main goal too. Jackson still represents Doshi, whose presence is still here as mentioned throughout the show. Hero is trying to move on but not forget him. Doshi's appearances are great, especially in the Halloween episode, where Hero is getting visions of him. Hero is encouraged and his whole character is great for being flawed. It is established he is very smart as a child prodigy, but spent his time boss fighting instead of something useful. He needs the right time and place to do things and isn't real following. In the finale, a year almost causing Sam from Tokyo Doom. It's interesting to watch the main character in this franchise. Already very liked Fred. The point from just the movie, he was once my favourite Disney character. It was funny, and able to point out tropes adding a lot to the superhero aspect of the film. This show gives him a new voice actor, that's an improvement and he remains great. It's not quite the leader of Big Hero 6, but started and is the creative one. This episode, the stories he deals with is feeling a need to give up to his rich family. The only reason he's in this phase is parents paying money. His father is Boss Awesome and his appearances are great as an old superhero gives advice. It was 2017, I can serve as a homage to Stan Lee. I'm not a Marvel fan, be creative your things. Episodes like Fred rotating have Fred try to be posture and pet at a fancy dinner. Gamer's revenge show him have the burden of giving up to his father for being the best hero and need to become his own hero. How he isn't just comic relief and there's more depth to him than that. He might be reckless and screw up here, but has positive traits too that the show doesn't get about. Created, he also has a rival with Rich and Mo, who I don't like. As good as a one episode character, but gets annoying from there as the nerd trope. In the episode Big Hero 7, Fred's ego ends up telling Mo their identity, which is good for showing his character flaws. The episode just a generic plot of Mo trying to be another hero. We almost change and gains respect to them as heroes, but doesn't and tries to dock their identities. Memory wiped out of nowhere, which is a major cop out. Why not instead have him keep the secret and in future episodes, he can give advice as he also knows comic stuff. Could have been turned to an eye on their side, but no, the episode is quite bad. Series should either not force him back or try to redeem him or do something interesting. Second's so young, so I'll just move on to the rest of the team. Sobby is the organised one who is scared of things. His character is good, especially when interacting with others. Episode K shows the contrast of Hero and Sobby. Probably weakest out of the 6, but still good. Goku is the character who doesn't care, and that isn't a yacht, but there's more than that. Ohio Wood shows the Shakes bird watching a hobby. Something, but I like how this doesn't do the trope of her just pretending to be like that. The character is also a great comedic trio being the straight man to wacky antics. Which is why Fred and Gogo is such an amazing duo when they appear together. This is also why she roommates Honey Yemen, who is practically the opposite. She is the positive one, but also more senti with the overused catchphrase it's really not. She is another good character, and has connection to the overarching story for investigating the inertia motor. Still Touchy does art on the side, and find out the Ignore sequel that she caused the Great Catastrophe. Or could have been done like this with Honey Yemen's character, I could be upset her idol did this. However, it is still an interesting way to affect the finale. These six work well together, especially in groups, or was also the seventh member introduced mid-season. Max is made to be Fred's sidekick and it's annoying. His character adds so little and that's all I have to say. There were some other recurring characters from the movie, and Cassius is Hill's rental figure. He runs a cafe and is trying to make sure Hero's okay, which makes Yako in her small roles. He gains suspicion Hero's up to something, and thinks it's boss fighting and gets dramatic in the episode The Boss Fighter. She even gets her own episode early on with Food Fight. She has a good supporting role. On the more antagonistic side, Alistair Gray is the businessman who does bad things. He's always in a position of yes or evil, and it's his own fault he gets attacked based on his recklessness. Gray even blackmails Big Hero 6 who knows their identity, and there's nothing he can do to stop him. He's the corrupt, more realistic villain. He takes interactions with his assistant Judy, who doesn't care. Echo both and Cass and Alistair Gray presented in the show, but not the episode with both of them in. When Cass goes out is one of the worst of the season. Villain's motivation is complicated. The main point of this episode is to try to make it seem like Hero is bad. It only gets to the point where he considering interfering with Cass's your life. It makes the point where he actually does something. Dave hadn't tried something before she met Gray, so it's calmer and not out of nowhere. Anyway, there's also Kayahan who gets one scene in Minimax and it's great. I like how he acknowledges the fault with that was his mistake line, and his apology is interesting. Now for new characters, only two non-villains I need to talk about. Professor Granville's Esfit's new head teacher, who is strict and looks cruel. There's some conflict with Hero, but she's not a bad teacher. We find out she taught in the past and used to be different. The episode Minimax has superior side PR, where Hero thinks Granville's up to something evil at first. We find out she's only so controlling because she let the kid free use the app before and it caused an explosion. This is interesting, causing a complex character. Also, it's great to see Granville overpower dual characters and she actually figures out Big Hero 6's identity as villain in season finale. We also new character is Kami, who is Hero's rival because she used to be the youngest student in SFIT before him. It's established she likes human friends, and I think her character was good in issue 188. But there is a reveal. She hates Hero and thinks Hero likes him, but she likes the superhero version of him, not knowing they're the same person. It sounds complicated, but I've heard Miraculous Ladybug is worse. Okay, I haven't seen that show. The episode where she's in the focus can be annoying. Her character only exists as a contrarian to Hero who needs to shut up. The episode takes more Hero 1, we see a more sympathetic side of her as well. Fanfiction involves Kami writing Big Hero 6 fanfiction with shipping, and everyone likes it except Hero. Tries to touch the debate of whether it's okay to write fanfiction with real people. The episode doesn't really know what they're talking about having the opinion. This is also a top topic, but why didn't he have any hero names? The movie established Fred was a nickname guy. In battles they call each other by their name and nobody notices. If Baymax has a robot as well, why didn't more characters figure this out? Professor Granville did, that's only because she's 600 IQ Among Us player. Anyway, I have mixed feelings about Kami this season as the rival character gets old. He also hates as a ship, but it's not helping his little potential. If there even is a fan I probably offended half of that comment, but it's true. On that later, now for recurring villains, I'll leave the box spot to the end. So I'll skip discussing some that are uninteresting and only have one appearance. I already said I don't make Yaman in a bigger role. He doesn't appear much and some episodes he ends actually quite good, but it's good despite him. Probably the worst villain of the whole show. Uniper and Barb are high voltage who are dancing with electric powers who work well in the background. The characters actually have an arc in Big Hero 7 that this night doesn't by any means save the rest of the episode. Rather than Steam is an old-timey, sometimes pathetic villain. With steampunk powers, he originally thought was awesome, and now it's their problem, and he is entertaining. It's funny how he kidnaps Wasabi thinking it's Fred, and doesn't believe him when he says he's not Fred. When it's revealed, Baron Steamer thinks he was impersonating a Fredrickson. This is a funny joke. There's also Mr. Spark, who's only had one episode this season, but it's still good. It was an over-the-top game host who got chased with a cute cat video overshadowing him, that he became a villain. Like his attitude and his percentage, I want to the main group. Starting with Gobby or Dibs as his name was before. Started off as a thief who stole Honey Yemen's purse that turned him into a gob monster. Been marked as a villain and joined to a Bucky to steal painting for him. Seeing as a dumb one, he didn't know who Bucky's true plan. Helps Hero escape because he doesn't want the catastrophe to destroy the city and Fanny Carl. Bobby and Fanny Carl are so great together. His redemption was good to see him help in the battle. Udo Burger Boy's animatronic who started being in a fast food place to remember people's order, then he got kidnapped by a Bucky and got turned evil. He's a very comedic character, but I like him. He shouldn't be the main villain of the season or anything. So Berg was entertaining for how much he loves his role. I like how his theme song starts to turn sinister. Contrast them to Momokasi is the more serious villain who first appeared in Food Fight. He only joins Obake after Obake breaks out of prison in fanfiction. It's cool with the whole sharp knife gimmick, and I remember there being a lot more to her next season. There's also Trina the boss fighter, who is Obake's robot daughter. She is very part of the gang and only sees a mild appearance in the finale. Now we have got to the main theme we are built up in the show and this video. Manages to make the silent theme from behind work. It's Obake's real name, Bob Bacon. He was originally an expert and was the student Bumble gave too much control to in the past. He attempted to make an energy amplifier, but there was an explosion where someone's face got destroyed. Thing is that I think this improved him, and he lost the part that tells right from wrong and make him no longer human. He wants to recreate Yono's catastrophe to have a legacy beyond that, which is why he got a group together. His character comes off as scary, especially in scenes with enemy contacts Big Hero 6. Helps him defeat Steamer, but of course it misses his motivations. He wanted Noodleburger Boy to speak a doctor's identities so he knows things about them. He tries to get Hero on his side as he built the amplifier right. Harry out Hero and Ibaki is interesting, as Glanville says the same happened. They are similar in being prodigies, but Hero still has a moral compass, partly due to Joshi and Baymax. But still tested when he tries to kill Kaihan and moving and could have gone the same direction. Baki wants Hero to be his apprentice. Teen Titans did that same pure and vain power better in season 1 finale, The Apprentice. But this is still great where how Baki lets himself die due to his pride. Him telling Baymax he aside for big care is a chunk end to his arc. The person who thought it was for Baki's death was Obake. Obake majorly helped with the season identity as a serious and comedy show. It's an underrated use of the superhero format because even in episodic stories, Obake is still there watching. I want the top 5 best episodes. I'm going to be doing this for each season. If you want honorable mentions, both for Bound One Steam episodes are 6 and 7 on the list. 5. Rivalry Week. I like the concept of rival skills trying to prank each other, causing a lot of fun moments, especially with Bumble training them. Also see Honey Emma's art side, and I like her in the ending, her friend waited for her to tell them. There's also your effects in the main story here, where back is seeing in North's journal, and the simulation boxes with riddles are a more interesting test. This is overall a great episode. 4. Countdown to Catastrophe. I put this over in short because it's hard to watch Hero ignoring Granville's warning when you have foresight. However, this is still great. The younger runtime being an hour makes it able to a yacht. I already went over how to handle Gobby on the back A, but there's also an amazing action scenes. The Baymax also quite scary, making it a superb finale. 3. Small Hero 1. This episode does a good job discussing age and misconceptions on who's above who. Only while Yuki was a silly children performer, but was actually the better of both interesting new characters. I don't like Yama, but he isn't bad enough to pull on the episode. 2. Obaki Yashiki. A Halloween special discussing Thea's video, Hero saying to Dashi. It almost seems realistic. Then he starts saying stuff against idea limits. It's obvious something up with him. That's the best scene of the season, but the rest of the episode is still great. The Halloween special stuff, and Fred trying to scare Gogo was funny, and I like the dynamic, but it's been done better this season. 1. Issue 188. Being the first normal episode, this was important in establishing the show, and did it in a great way. Kami plot has a good message about how they're really both the same, Mr. Yifford well, but it is best for the comic book plot where Gogo does a superb job being a normal one around chaos. Fred brings up similarities Captain Fantasy 188, but he doesn't have that rare issue where the inappropriate drawing got recalled. The internet was cut before he bidded it by his rival Mitch and Mole. Regardless how I feel about it after, this whole thing is really funny seeing Gogo react to it, especially with Fred reading and being disappointed by it. There's also Juniper and Val being well introduced in an overall amazing episode. It's weird how the episode that introduced two annoying rival characters is the best of the season. This was a good TV season. The parts I don't like, but the overall story and villain work extremely well. There's good comedy, making the arc this light-hearted story is also good too. Season 1 is an 8 out of 10 for laying groundwork for another season to expand on it. This is still very very young. The next season segment will be shorter because I won't need to discuss each character for how young I did here. At least I thought it would be shorter. Season 2, A. I'll discuss the first half of Season 2 separately, because the season is split over across two different arcs. I'll go through it as two half-year seasons, but the top 5 will be for the overall season. Now we are on to the Heroes Phase 2, which leads into the greatness of Fred's character. He is there to point out comic tropes. While he isn't the best at the hero planning bit, he is the reason for Big Hero 6 starting. Back here was just the start, as now the villain upgrades yet by a new villain, who is out in the open but able to figure it out, but it's hard to prove anything. Character is seen a bit in most episodes, setting the role up, but I think the half-PM season works better for this. The plot focuses on Yuzamara, who was teased last season in Big Problem, with her company having a part in Autonox Mon transformation. Army works with her, and I actually didn't mind her this season. The contrarian part of her character's existence was toned down. She actually helps in Friday, and she's genuinely more understandable. Mid-season 9 as Hero and Kami team up, which is good the rival ended. Still don't like it as a ship because it's too quick a change, and the secret identity thing is still dumb and complicated. Throughout this half season starts when Hero shares with Kami work for a year, though he tricks Ice to claim to get an internship. In the season with Maya in Turnabout, he is just doing jobs and tries to leave, but he already signed the contract. Ray still isn't a good person, but season 2A really helped develop him. Mahaya Horror shows he had wild life skills and isn't just incompetent. Also has funny moments with how he wants to compete with Yivamara. Most of the episode plots are tied to the overarching story, with Yiv behind the scenes. Any of the season 1 based on Mon's transformation and a new team is formed. There are changes here. Professor Granville now knows her identity, and we get a good episode of her continuing to be great. 6 characters for the title still have good development through their adventures. Noble sub episode and very honey episode, but they wouldn't say they weren't there. Supporting roles, they still have many eyes to answer the conversation. Gogo Gets episode is probably one of the best this half season. The role remains a great protagonist, especially in the episode Something's Fishy, which foreshadows part of season 2B. There's also a lot of great character returns and secret episodes that expand some things. Higher Horror is better than Higher Woods. We got the episode Negagobby, and the icon realised he should be a hero. I would have preferred Goy be the honorary set member instead of Minimax. Talk about some episodes near the end. Supersonic 2 is the worst of the season. First, the new Vader is mediocre and I find them more annoying, but that's the least of the episode's problems. Side plot I misremembered and thought it was from season 3. First watched season 2 a year before season 3. This will foreshadow some of my thoughts of that season. Richard, Morgan, and Fred start to bond with shared interest, and this could have ended their rivalry. Also, was just a twist for Motel underwear. That sounds way out of context. Captain Fancy Limited Edition. Once again being robbed of a Richard Mole redemption when this could have made up for Big Hero 7. Do you like Fred's development, seeing Mole's loneliness, but it's not earned? The message isn't good because in all 3 examples the rivalry stays. There's Fred and Mole. Hero 6 tried to stay steam but he teamed up with Sue. Their team will end because the fight over who's boss awesome nemesis. This is only a repetitive storytelling, but it's not a good message on keeping rivalries pointless. The only safer Storm's episode being about the season 1 worst is Boss Awesome. He has great delivery with the classic catchphrases, and he's finally seen in person and it's great. Tribute message put at the end of Stan Lee was great. I just wish it was in a better episode. In terms of leading up to the finale, Yai Detective did a good job building up the villains. The yucks at the idea of Yai without picking a side. The question I have the episode is that Hero turned off the bus stand on mute before, so why can't it stay on mute? The turn here has a fun setup, and normally I like this episode, but it's not that good. The device has different ways of storytelling, but the whole thing is pointless. Most of the jokes aren't funny. It is held up by the ending him writing sort of a dossier. It's great, but makes everything else seem like failure. Do you get the idea of having the Yaich episode right before mid-season finale? I just wish something better could happen. Now we get the City of Monsters, which is a 2-part end to this arc. That'll go over more my top 5 because it's really good. Very charismatic how the threat is split up between different monsters across the city, and Hero is confronting Yev. And we also get to a different city, which are just thrown in at the end. I understand why it's reasonable parenting, these can take away for the show to ignore her during the rest of the season. The animation continues to be on point in season 2, before the action and writing needed. Some new hero designs with a 2B act instead of the Ranger colour saw before. Do you like the style it's going for? It shows the season's darker shift, and it's better camouflage stuff. Now for the villains. Little Burger Boy and Tree are those robot siblings trying to avenge their father. There's an interesting contrast between them as serious versus comedic, but there's yet of them in this half season. They have some of the few recurring villains who aren't part of the team. First off, see the asteroid historian and turn into a birth for Yiv's energy. As for the other people in the team, there's Momo Cassie, who made a deal with Yiv for upgrade a sharper nails with a more monstrous form. He's the only villain to overyapple back here in Yiv's team. He tells Hero's identity of Amara. This gives Yiv the kind of finale. They voltage were broke up vision by Yiv, but now they don't want to be bad anymore. But Yiv blackmails him to steal her in a turned fish form. I feel bad for them because manipulate him preventing them from moving on past prison. It does a good job showing who Yamava is. This Sparkle starts the season on his own, but he teams up with Yama only to betray him. They approve of the Yama hate, and he gets up for controlling fluffy things that look cute until they're used for destruction. Also has to deal with Yiv, Sparkles claims he made the monster which works for both of them. Like Sparkles, he's a funny percent to turn evil. It's like watching Chris McCain's villain arc. Speaking of, there's another character named Chris who is Yiv's assistant, mainly there to historically by representation. Also implies his stomach animal Yike as one of Yiv's creations. Main villain is similar to a Obake, but it's not a rip-off. He's not as great, but the short of running time and fast pace makes a really even impact. Yiv, the real Yiv and Malverities, after testing herself because no one else would, this caused her to be slowly dying, so she made a clone whose mission was to cure infestation, whilst he being cryogenically frozen. Yiv's interpreted her mission as by any means. So she took over the original role and created monsters in some intimidating scenes. Her so much creative Yiv Malva and her image shows her fakeness. Convenience to refer to him as fake Yiv and real Yiv. Pian in something fluffy to make herself look like a hero to avoid suspicion shows her way of manipulation, setting up a narrative to see someone heroic and respectable to trust. In Lie Detector, she hides by the loophole that Yiv and Malva is not creating the monsters. Venai has her sacrifice Kami, her prized pupil, just to get Hero to work with her. Even after it's done, she tries to trip Hero because 1, he knows what oil is, and 2, she wants to create more art pieces. Phrasing shows it's just a game to her, saying the monsters are not just a way to save Yamara, but something to be proud of. This is only stopped by the real Yiv, who doesn't want any of this. It remains her humanity being ashamed of what happened. In contrast, Fake is just a robot on a mission set out. Barkey's goal was to destroy a city and have a legacy. Practicing concept evil could the passive brain that felt right and wrong was destroyed. With Fake Yiv, the goal set out noble to save the real Yiz, but the means around them weren't. Joan gets arrested, and this film really makes season 2 a memorable. That episode shows the show improving. How will the rest of the season keep it up? Season 2B. Just the Archangel named Big Fugitive 6. 4 does big things need to defeat, but now we're going to motivate when the threat is the peace. Confident this season that Chief Cruise of the Peace doesn't like superheroes. In the God Within, Mega Gyobe makes Gyobe do crimes, and Big Hero 6 of fugitives for associating with Gyobe. This event 3 episodes into Season 2B really changed the season in tone. Now they have to be undercover, and when they show to fight a villain, they have to be careful of being caught. This makes catching villains harder for both Big Hero 6 and the Peace, who have the same goal. Chief Cruise's belief is that heroes cause villains to exist, and the city will be safer without them. This is an extreme way of thinking, cut out with other characters. But it makes sense with a backstory of Boss Awesome being too late to save everyone. In other words, his character is like Jefferson Davis from Into the Spider-Verse. Freeze found same time as just a coincidence. He's an antagonist, but it's interesting how he's not a villain and a complex character. Dark this season, the Peace Force is trying to find Big Hero's identity. Although it's quite out in the open, the Chief's daughter Megan, who we saw previously as Hero's friend, is the one trying to figure it out. So it's getting close, and yet in the Kaya Hunt interview where he admits he was in the wrong. It now reveals the S5 fire that Sashi died in, and now it all points to Hero. One detail all became clear. In the episode Put Enemy, Megan confronts Hero about this, who tries to continue her keeping it a secret. She ends up at II, who even helps her mission with an IA. This causes a conflict between her and her father on the matter of superheroes. I like the addition of Megan's character, and they can be viewed as both friends and a ship with Hero, which is way better than Kami. It's a better starting point, and they can both learn from each other's perspective. It's not a great ship, but it's easily the best of the two. Also, Chief Cruise is dating Ann Cass, but I was done with that. Episodes this season are great. Even weak ones like Alfie Lego do a good job pushing Hero's character with him wanting to defend Soshi's legacy. She comes back into Finale. A all part this season are tied together like that. The tone change is notable for how they're in danger, and this part of the season introduces new villains, which wasn't done in 2A. But it is still mixed with a couple more funny light-hearted episodes, like the Christmas special. This is the best part of the season, the only problem I have are quite mild. For the characters, Hero remains a great protagonist. This time it gives him more of his ideology and why he's the hero. Nai also has a speech which seems like the whole show is leading up to. The other 4. 4 was mostly Bayans, but there was a bit more lean towards Fred. Here it's increased because out of 11 episodes, 3 of them are major Fred roles. 2 next them in the order. I really like Fred, so I wasn't thrown off by this. Do understand not everyone. It could be seen as overplayed here. So it seems that 2 of them are some of the season's weakest, but they're still good. Season 2 only has one bad episode, which went over earlier. That was also a Fred episode. Still finishes the great development of Fred, with his recklessness being dealt with. In Fred the Fugitive, he messes up but faces the reality of the situation and is willing to sacrifice himself for his mistake. Said that was his mistake here. Just yesterday about Fred's lack of focus and personal with Gogo, who are still the best dynamic. I like his mentioning of tropes and how distractions get used to his favour in the battle. Vision reveals a good ending and I continue to like Fred in this season. As for the others, we're sorry it's episode 3 or not, but that's to make up for him not having any episode in season 2A. Gogo and Honey M don't get any episode. They are more in the supporting roles. They are all still good and it isn't that major a problem. Season also changes with having a secret headquarters. Baymax controls the secret headquarters, and demonstration with Baymax is funny how they say the same thing. As for their allies, there's little school this half season so we barely see Granville. Hero's internship with Gray is ongoing, although he doesn't do much across these episodes. The obvious here, and I feel bad for him for how he thinks he's a burden to them. There's also a fugitive, but he has to hide away and can't see Fanny Carl. Their relationship is nice. Also, we see Fanny Carl get arrested one episode, and I don't know why. No Fanny's in his name, but he set up he doesn't do any Fanny's. Secret Headquarters introduces a new character, Volibear. The expert headquarters designer who works for Boss Awesome. He's a cool character as he has funny phrases. Valiant's mostly new, aside from Momokasu in one episode. And Minimax is better than his usual self, he's supposed to be hateful in this role. Fuego is an uninteresting Vestia villain. The actor is good for how he treats everything like his game. The design is excellent, this whole episode is a way to show the animation remains great. French mime character is interesting for use of portals. She's a more reasonable villain, knowing that the portal are going too far. The only problem with her is that we never saw her again. Agent Piast gave Fred's mother something to do, using this as a persona to best look after family. Supersonic Stu is back with a grandson of Supersonic Stu. I still don't like them. This isn't going to be as young as the end to the other seasons, but the finale's villain is Trina. Season 1, Trina seemed to be normal, being a boss fighter who was a parallel to Hero. Then we got the robot Veil as she was off to the side of the group. She is the sister of Noodle Burger Boy as they worked together for a robot revolution. They are also continuing Kobaki's idea of having a legacy by destroying the city. This is in contrast with how Tadashi's health chip is used to replace all the robots. This works for legacies, but isn't built up by the rest of the season. It was obvious they'll be Trina, because who else would it be? Noodle Burger Boy was good contrast to the seriousness. Ends the season young and now he's getting a new group. Fear keeps the contrast. Season 2 as a whole is jumbled, having 2 plots for each half. It even seems like different writers weren't produced for the full season. Both are still great arcs. I prefer B, but there's stuff like in both. Now onto the top 5. 5. The Present. The holiday episode has your fun seeing multiple characters in different situations. Really trying to tell Gray about Present Carl is funny, and he likes Steamer hosting a villain party. So the episode good feelings, and the Toshi scenes are sad. The episode also doesn't fit the timeline because Gobby is out in the open. They have their old outfits. Both things episode took place earlier. If it weren't for Alfredo and Supersonic Stu at the party. Even so, the present is a great example of how to do a Christmas episode. 4. City of Monsters. The conclusion of this arc and Big Hero 6 being split up, and they need to learn to manage our hero. Battle scenes are great, and you have a mildly intimidating villain for how scary your beliefs are. Especially with the contrast of the real hair. It was a great climatic end to City of Monsters half season. Hey, something's fishy. Set up the characters for 2B, while being the best episode 2A. Both starts considering what I tell a normal yipe because he missed one. Both for skipping high school and having a double yipe as a hero. Plot is also paralleled by High Roasting in that episode, who try to become good and give a normal life. They get consumed by the ill transformation, being a reminder of Yiv's presence. I like how both plots are connected when they normally seem separate. 2. Legacies. The season of 9 is great enough to be the best multi-part special. As you have intense and action-packed scenes, you like the mystery element. Steve Cruz's turnaround was well written, especially the moment when they all take their helmets off in respect. The scene just need to force dialogue in. Barty has a great contrast to what legacy could mean. Can be toxic what Obaki and Trina wanted, or positive with Tadashi. Each hero kept procrastinating trying to do. Could have ended the show, and with foresight it probably should have. On Hero the Villain. The whole I bet you wouldn't have gone this situation is played off brilliantly here, as it shows what will happen when Momokoshi the unknown hero that she knows her identity is. This being presented is so important to Hero, builds suspense to Megan's side plot. She is interviewing Craig Granville and Kaya Han, and although they refuse to speak, she is on the right lines. Cliffhanger is a big just one more episode moment. The whole episode had dark atmosphere with the lighting, and they're both still in knives to the cool scene. Omakase is epic while she knows how to manipulate others, being so many steps ahead. You get a backstory which is more personal than a usual one. Omakase also hates Yama, and I approve of that. This is the best episode of the whole show, and season 2 is Big Hero 6 series peak. I give it as a whole 9 out of 10. So will the next season keep it? No. Season 3. This is the last season that made some major changes, but before I go over all of that, look at the season's first episode, the Hypopotamus Pizzatorium. Good episode, not great, but it's interesting how Honey M and Gogo Musabi have graduated and now have job interviews. Moving on, and Fred becomes worried they will leave. They need jobs, and being a hero isn't, since it's just them, a society where being a hero is a job hasn't developed. Superheroes just a pastime that can't make money. They might have to move on, but for the time being they're still there. It works if familiar, but the problem is with the side plot. Previous seasons or half season had a big villains, both were backing given man from behind the scenes. Are threatening and complex, with a team of other villains to help balance. And even 2B is the peace system, and Trina with Naye. Jeff Noodleburger Boy alone, normally he'd find a complex villain to team up with, but instead, he used the old back chip to kidnap animatronics for a family. This is a more silly and light-hearted approach. I know they aren't all goofy, the panda is sarcastic one to the others, but they are more in an overall sense. Other main villains have motivations and a grand plan, but their plan is to get more of a team. That's annoying how half the time they don't know what to do with these characters. Exists for comedy, which we find for a side villain but not a main threat. Tone is lighter this season, with more comedic episodic stories. There's some chill animation moments and very serious episodes, with one exception. After this show has become standardized, the first 2 seasons felt close to the original Teen Titans, being a mix of comedy and seriousness. Season 3 is more Teen Titans Go, and I don't even hate Teen Titans Go. What it is, it can be occasionally funny. The problem is that this isn't a reboot but the same show, diverging from what it used to be. You could get past the more comedic side, but the big point was another change. Except for the premiere, this show now has 11-minute episodes. Show running times are set a certain way for a reason, and Big Hero 6 series was always 22-minute episodes focused covering multiple plots at once. Season has a lot of missed potential, and I have a feeling half the episodes were planned before being shrunk to 11 minutes. For example, the episode Trading Chips had a good concept of Baymax and Minimax switching, but there's no time to explore it. This is common for episodes this season, that is majorly pulling it down. The season is short, being in 10-22-minute slots, 2/5 of the other seasons. But it's still 19 episodes, with most being not good. Even this season's best aren't great, and it's yet to there's only 4 episodes I like. Original bias is yacht due to how dumb most plots have become. Slice of life stories used to be realistic and not wacky. Superhero stories used to be action packed, but it remains the same. Villains yet the mostly comedic ones, and the episodes take place in a smaller window of time than before. The other plots only take place in a couple of hours to a day. Plot has gone in terms of consistency, causing problems. Safe identity has always been out and open, but here it feels like everyone knows. It's an open secret. I know now the pieces aren't a problem, but it still should be kept secret for villains. You don't really hide it, and it's a big disregard of rules. Niem is even referred to as Torga in one of the episodes, despite that being a hero name. It is a bit of an oversight that shows the point of this season's writing. There's no character arc, just episodic stories. But this means more distribution across characters, right? No Wasabi episode, he's just there with your supporting too. Coco gets an episode and Honey M gets 2, so there's some time for both of them. Now as for Fred, he gets 3 to 6 episodes depending on what you count. I am classifying it as if he has a vastly larger role than the other 3. It became even more overpaid representing the season's tone. He is more hit or miss this season and presented more like a nuisance for the team. Doing stuff like falling for a scam given a secret base of virus, which is just a horror of how they've done before. The whole falling for a scam was done a couple episodes later. I brought up Fred a yacht this video. Anyway, I was originally going to try and question the timeline, but I realised there's little reason to care. Had Christmas last season, but graduation happened close after. The solution is I'm going to assume San Francisco is half Japan, so school starts in April. But it just wasn't thought about, I'm overthinking it. To explain this season properly, I'll need to go over some bad episode plot lines. Keep in mind the season is about making out the seam. I'm saving the good parts to the top 5. Day 4 Day has Richard Mole win that title and used it to call Big Hero 6 too much. They stop answering in a boy who cried wolf situation, making him join Supersonic Sue and Stu. In the end, Mole runs away with no consequences. That should have been a guest appearance. But then there was better off Fred. This episode's shock was way too yikes girls. It can still be bad, but the big concerns, mainly with her being related to Richard Mole. Tricks Fred and makes it seem like Roy's teacher will impress her. Past wanting redemption, it should have happened, but now he's just annoying. Supersonic Stu appears, as he does frequently this season. There's little veil distribution this season. Whenever there's attack, there's no stakes. Better off Fred also shows that all 3 romance in the show is poorly written. Even with Hero and Megan only half worked. It is better written and more subtle when it's referred to as just roommates. Like with Gobby and Fanny Carl, and Go-Go with Honey Lemon. On a similar note, I thought Cam was thrown out of the show, or yet to another scale, for a better ship to happen. Season 2 was created by different writers, for a war different shippers. Now this season had to conclude one, it could have ignored both, picked one for actual relationship, or yielding one way but just don't do anything with it. That's what this season did with Kami. Big Chibi 6 brought back Hardyite. They knew had potential, but only used for evil Big Chibi 6. This isn't threatening and the whole episode feels insulting. Spoil Camera being this season and thought the problem was it picked a bad ship with no chemistry over an actually healthy one. But it doesn't even do that. It's implied by the end, but nothing happens after the episode. It's Cammy's last appearance without conclusion. This season had to pick Go or Out. It would be an issue with the relationship being distant, but like last season tried to prevent it, but it could still work. If it were to happen, Cammy should find out the identity to end this convolutedness. Most characters already know. It'll stop this season ending with little changes. Other than that later, Megan is mentioned twice as a joke, but her and Chief Cruz don't appear this season. We were getting eyes that this season ignored. Season 3 feels like it's randomly cherry-picking who to focus on and who to ignore, including one decision I'll discuss at the end. The original plan I had before I watched Season 3 was to make it nice and why people prefer your to hate relationship that barely work. The problem is that this season barely picked a side. Where your own has the episode just insulting. It feels just that you might have just ignored both entirely. That was a young discussion, so let's go on to some other episodes. Big Hero battles a boy band shines Big Hero 6 to a hero off, and they take credit for their saves. Probably my episode that no one cared, Big Hero 6 and Petty are getting credit, just tired about this. Band and San Francisco is really oblivious. The ending's also so weirdly paced, this has become the type of show I don't like. There's more songs this season, they aren't good songs, but it's a change. There's a big pattern of cliche episodes overdone plot that bear use the superhero concept. Something else to go over with Minimax. I have been glancing over him because he's pointless. With annoying and over-the-top comedy, this season gets more attention for being comedic. This does not ruining non-comedic lead characters. It turns into a problem when the finale is a Minimax episode. Let me repeat, the finale of 3 seasons are usually grand multi-part ending episodes. This show ends on a 11-minute Minimax episode. Aside from Momokase being on Hero's side in this, being a co for a character, this episode is bad. Max goes undercover for on the team and starts being conflicted about both our families. In the end, there's multiple years of them double crossing each other. It only concludes the mascot robot arcs. So the last image is somewhat satisfying. I doubt it was intended for the last season because it's a bad finale. No Disney were too scared to have a good guy turn evil. Imagine if Minimax did after the he'd just been used. Runs away and teams over a serious villain, where there's a big fight. Maybe with Minimax being switched to a bigger body. Could even be just Minimax. An epic twist where all Ayas will have to team up. Why not have an actual finale after that episode? Including having some characters find out. At this point, this does sound like fanfiction. I say that but I barely read any. Season 3 was just underwhelming. It's upsetting when a show gets cancelled, but yeah, season like this is worse. Dumb down the show with a shorter runtime, ruining potentially good stories. This is a downfall, so I can use that word in the title. Comedic view could have actually worked because most of the comedy is still funny. Hasn't really found that department. Baymax has funny lines even in the worst, but it's far from able to save this season. The problem that shows one of the things missing is Tadashi. He isn't mentioned once, despite being a major part of the story. Seasons 1 and 2 never got that, but this season failed the franchise. What the rest of the video will be the countdown to top 5 of season 3, then is the ranking of all episodes, followed by overall thoughts on what's next for the franchise. 5. The Misfit. I need a fifth genre all considered. I picked this on the contrast of Hero meeting another young person prodigy, who's reckless. Professor Granville's great here. This episode isn't that good. It is too rushed with a fast turnaround. Seeing that Hero battles happen in S made him want to appear. I wish there was time to have Hero have a conversation, maybe even mention Tadashi. This had more time, it could have been the best episode of the season, but it's still fine. Or the Hypopotamus Pizzatorium. Already went over this episode, but good idea to put the question or the other three moving on. Story is quite basic with the villains, but this introduced a good pathway the season could have followed. The extra time also helps the pace and makes stand out as a good premiere. 3. Karaoke Night. The episode isn't something I can call good, but this is actually fun. The song's quite mediocre, but it's a way to have a reaction with the characters with their last appearances. Also a good cut between the singing to the mascot side plot. Some dumb stuff, but some I respect. Yobe and Fanny Calgeret makes you wonder what the hell known the explanation for this is. Nicky Fjord, but more fun was put towards karaoke night than others. 2. Go Go the Wararoo. This episode justifies the wholesome. Wendy Wow returns thinking she got a fetting note to I Want Your Head. Being the dark looking kid was predictable, we like the twist with just meaning wanting to be smart. It's not bad for being a cop out, but I could prefer this season's ice-hearted stories if it was more like this. Go also gets development in one of the only Stanley episodes. There's problems like with the songs. I like Dark Matter, but the other one is very bad. The iPod of Hero and Baymax season Supersonic Stew is pointless, but it's still a good episode. On Cobras and Mongoose. I haven't yet discussed it, but Fred's brought to Heathcliff is cool, and the reveal here fits so well. Him being a spy who disguised himself with the Federation family makes so much sense and might have been planned from the beginning. This episode isn't comedy focused, instead being action packed to stand out from season 3. It is used well here, with there being emotion between them. Faye is cool despite no yet about her. I just wish the episode was younger because it starts quickly without the side plot. Still great, but imagine if this upper season plot instead. Prison Mongoose is the best season 3 episode, but only 12 out of the whole show. Then the season's best aren't that great in this week's season. Can't quite be allowed fish, so I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. So, next I'll yes my ranking without descriptions about it. 64 Big Chubby 6, 63 Better Off Red, 62 And Cast Goes Out, 61 Big Hero 7, 60 The Mascot Upshot, 59 Big Hero 6 Battle, 58 Fanfiction, 57 Mayflower Day, 56 Supersonic Zoo, 55 Debased, 54 A Fresh Sparkles, 53 The Impatient Patient, 52 Right Turn Here, 51 The Dog Craze of Summer, the Kentucky Kaiju, the episode which I almost forgot existed. 49 Noodle Burger Ploy, 48 Return to Scorax, 47 Mahaya Woods, 46 The New Negagobi, 45 A Friendly Face, 44 Big Roommates 2, 43 Fred the Fugitive, 42 Mini Maximum Trouble, 41 Big Problem, 40 Trading Chips, 39 Mini Noodle Burger Max, 38 The Misfit, 37 In Turnabout, 36 Baymax Returns, 35 Failure Mode, 34 Seventh Wheel, 33 El Fuego, 32 The Hypopotamus Pizza Partitorium, 31 Fear Not, 30 Playdate, 29 Karaoke Night, 28 The Boss Fighter, 27 Food Fight, 26 Minimax, 25 Mahara Horror, 24 KO App, 23 Go Go the Wararoo, 22 Negagyobi, 21 Hard Light, 20 Mr. Sparkle Uses Sparkle, 19 Yard Detector, 18 The Fate of the Roommate, 17 Steamer's Revenge, 16 Porty Enemy, 15 Major Bias, 14 Fred's Rotation, 13 The Gobby Within, 12 Cobras and Mongoose, 11 Something's Fluffy, 10 Rivalry Week, 9 Countdown to Catastrophe, 8 Small Hero 1, 7 The Present, 6 City of Monsters, 5 Obaka Yashiki, 4 Something's Fishy, 3 Issue 188, 2 legacies, and 1 hero the villain. That was the ranking. The episodes have side plots, so it's quite hard to make that list. Big Hero 6. The movie has serious potential, and this did it with the superhero half, but in the movie, it was just a disguised way of hero coping with grief. This adds more, and was them staying heroes needed. This could be a point where the film ends, but this continues by doing it in the name of helping people. So there are moral discussions with complex villains. There's also comedy that is funny, so that shapes important present remains, except in season 3. There are problems like too much thread, although I don't mind it early on. It's also weird how it went from the arc every season 2, but kept going for the final season, pulling things down. Even with that, it's a great Disney show that is being forgotten. It was barely discussed, and Disney are trying to make another series about Big Hero 6, but overall it's 7.5 out of 10. Something that the series did well is Baymax, for showing restraint. They aren't the main character, and I knows the right amount of time to use them. Easy to overuse Baymax for the merchandise, and it's only part of the film remembered. Like Baymax, this franchise has so much more than that. 2018, we got short Baymax emoji. One side animation used for these shorts are so pretty, for how it looks like a painting with the movement. It is very visually pleasing at night to look at. But aside from that, they are 3 basic shorts with little happening. It's very short and just a way to flex animation, 6 out of 10. 2 years ago, Disney announced Baymax the Series with a large amount of other announcements. Disney Plus and milk your old properties and most were needed. I'm going to be honest, I expected Baymax series to be bad, and the trailers weren't funny. It looked like a standardized version of what made me like the movie. Released the end of June, I didn't immediately watch it. After about a week, I decided to watch it and it was pretty good. Great, this works as a wholesome show. Max is traveling around San Francisco, helping people in need, who try to avoid it but Baymax starts chasing them, or being persistent. It seems to even stage like a horror movie. The patient already has a connection with Baymax, and it gets emotional in a happy way. Darcy didn't design Baymax just for physical, but also mental problems. That's always at the core of each story. Speaking of Darcy, he isn't mentioned once. The topical other characters, Hero only appears at end joke in the finale. The other 4 of the Big Hero 6 just aren't included in the series. No mention of superhero elements, it's only Baymax. Looking at a mild part of Big Hero 6 is disappointing, but what it is, this is a very comfort show, and Baymax is funny and caring at the same time. The episodes touch upon more mature themes, but it's still accessible for all ages. Episode 1 is the only one not about a new character, featuring Ankas. He gets a leg injury, but still tries to work and it deals with overworking problems. Episode 2 is about an old woman who's scared of water because of grief with her husband swimming. This is done by comedy with Baymax's setup. Episode 3, this is the controversial one, turning regular hate for implication of periods, but Baymax had an episode about it. It's a medical issue, and Baymax explains it a normal thing. The episode has a great message while not changing who someone is. Main controversy is one scene where Baymax in a shop and getting bad recommendation by other shoppers. These shops say it's trans man because they also have periods. That's the issue here. Oh no, Disney coming for kids by one line by one character, and it's just a shirt. Also funny this confused some by this meme, which is based on the idea that it's only trans women and not trans men. Series has good representation. Also, in the next episode, the character asks out to know of the same gender. This is a diverse show, especially for Disney, but this series also caught the other 4, none of which I think are straight. There's also different cultures and names here representing more diversity. Episode 4 is about someone whose family's been selling fish for years, but he develops a fish allergy and doesn't want to let go. It's an interesting episode with a core chase scene. Episode 5 features a stray cat swallowing an earphone and being scared of Baymax's care. The show is almost great, but doesn't have vital topics for Baymax to give advice on. But there's a cliffhanger of Baymax being stuck in a warehouse without charge. Episode 6 involves all characters in previous episodes try to find Baymax and they weren't supposed to interact. The animatic finale is a dumb idea, but it's normally wholesome fun. Also, Hero and Baymax going its own makes little sense. However, I think this can coexist with Big Hero 6 series and isn't just replacing it. Disney Plus is both available to watch and this was a decent miniseries. It's less than an hour to watch. It gets a 7 out of 10. It's not a pop success like the series, but some good shorts. You know how the market works, Baymax will have to be pushed more. It can cause some nice moments. I don't know what the future of this franchise will be, but I'm happy there's still good to come from it in recent. In conclusion, I just discussed all your Big Hero 6, except the shorts, but that's not needed and will break the pace. It's an amazing movie and two good shows. Suppose y'all work rewatching the show and writing over 2 months. Hope you enjoyed this video when it gets views. It was meant to be 30 minutes but ended up almost double that. 67 pages long. Retrospective style I got from Nintendo is a good format. I'm not going to do it soon, but I have ideas for others I could make. To wrap this up, Baymax should have become the big villain character for IA. Subscribe, can I make other videos about movies and shows too. The end.
It's back. I can feel it.
Feelings aren't facts.